can guarantee you that an AI written essay won't get you into a top university. Hi, my name is Zoe, and I'm an English native speaker, teacher, and English text editor. Last university application season, I corrected over 700 university application essays, activity lists, resumes, and more. And over the past 5 years, I've corrected over 2,500 university application documents for students who've gotten into some of the top universities in the US, UK, Hong Kong, Singapore, Malaysia, Australia, and more. And now, with the 2025 to 2026 university application season well underway, in this video, I'm going to share with you some of the common mistakes and things I've noticed from the previous application season so that you can write an essay that truly stands out and that truly showcases your best self. Before we get started though, I do acknowledge that writing an outstanding application essay is not an easy task. So if you feel like you need extra support, feel free to leave us a message or visit www.zenainternationaleducation.com/collegeapp.php to find out more. Anyway, without further ado, let's get started. Number 1, AI use. With so many incredibly powerful tools out there, like ChatGPT, DeepSeek, and more, it comes as absolutely no surprise that many students have sought to use these powerful AI tools to help them write their university application essays. And while this may seem like a fast and easy solution, it'll lead to immediate rejection. Many university policies have explicitly stated that college application essays are not allowed to be written with AI. And even if AI is allowed, I can guarantee you that an AI written essay won't get you into a top university. Remember, university admission officers want to hear your voice and your story. And AI is not going to do that, no matter how many times you tell it to make a text sound more natural. And it's actually really easy to tell when a text has been written with AI. It's generic, repetitive, illogical, and unnatural. All of the things that admission officers are looking to avoid. So if you do want to get into your top university, do not use AI to write or translate your essay. And I do know that some people recommend using AI to brainstorm or plan your application, but actually I encourage you to all take a step back. And before you look at AI, before you use AI, try and really stop and think and reflect upon yourself without any technology. And by thinking alone or reflecting upon yourself, this is where the best essays come from. And then after that, once you have your own ideas and reflected upon yourself, then this is when you can use AI to come up with additional ideas. But try to do it yourself first. Remember, the best essays are those that come from human experience and human thought. And we'll go more into this in another video. But now, on to number 2. Number 2, answering the prompt. Now, I know that when we talk about university application essays, we often talk about them allowing you to showcase your personality, your story, make them sound very free flow. And in a way, they are. But there's also something very important you have to keep in mind, and that is that the majority of the essays that you're writing are going to be written in response to a very specific prompt, and it is absolutely essential that you answer this prompt. There's absolutely no point writing a brilliant essay that beautifully showcases who you are and your story if that's not what the admission officers are looking for. And you have no idea how many times I've read essays that are written beautifully but completely ignore the prompt. Remember, these prompts have been given for a reason. The admission officers have provided these prompts as if this is what they're looking for. So if you answer the prompt, you're basically giving the admission officers the information that they need to admit you into the university. And not answering the prompt also reflects poor attention to detail, lack of understanding, and disregard for instructions, so not qualities that you want to be associated with. That's why, before you start planning your essay, make sure you read the prompt carefully and write it down as well before you start writing an essay. What I also recommend doing is to break down the prompt into its different parts. So list out all the different requirements that you need to cover in dot point form. So this is where you can clearly see what you need to cover, and it's in a way that you can understand easily. This also helps to make sure that you don't miss out on anything. And then when you plan, try and plan around these dot points that you've listed And make sure you keep referring back to these dot points as you write and after you write to make sure that you've covered everything. Now, on to number 3, which is very much related to point number 2. 3. Following word counts and word limits. Like with the previous point, it's absolutely essential that you follow the length requirements. So if the word limit is 500 words, don't write 501 words. Make sure you write 500 or less. And if the page limit is 2 pages, don't write 2.5 pages. Little things like this showcase a lot about you and a lot about you as a person. So if you're given instructions, make sure you follow them exactly. And one tip for you is that if you're over the word limit, try and reread your text and see if there's any unnecessary information that you don't need, or there's any points that aren't essential to your application or don't add much to it. Or 2, if you think everything is absolutely necessary, then try and make your phrasing a lot more concise. Oftentimes when we write things in a really convoluted and long way. And by making your phrasing a lot more concise, you can really cut down on maybe even a few hundred words. And we'll go more into this in another video. But if you are struggling to cut down your application essay, leave us a message and we'll be happy to help you. On to point 4, being logical. And now this is really where AI won't help you, because almost all AI written essays are illogical in some shape or form. But anyway, even if your essay isn't AI written, one of the things that I found is that most students struggle with is developing the logic of the essay and making sure the essay flows logically. And this also very much relates to answering the prompt. So it's a logical sequence of your ideas that form the basis of a really good essay that answers the prompt and showcases your qualities and your stories. Unfortunately, many students do struggle with this, and a lot of this comes down to planning. So before you write your essay, make sure you actually plan it out and write out point by point in the order that you want to write it in, what you want to write your essay about, or what you want to write in your essay. Then before you start writing, look at your plan and see if everything makes sense and see if all your ideas flow logically and flow in a sequential order. So think about whether your points would make more sense when they are rearranged maybe, or whether some points can be combined together if they're saying very similar things or would make sense written together. It's also really helpful if you get someone else to read your plan to see if it makes logical sense, because sometimes things may make sense to you because you've written it and in your head it all makes sense. But when someone else reads it, it doesn't, and it sounds a bit illogical or a bit repetitive. So it's always good to have someone else to read through your plan even before you start writing, just to make sure you're on the right track. And after you write, make sure you do edit and see if your essay is written logically. And I know that, again, this is a very difficult thing to do because a lot of students struggle with this. And I myself spend a few hours often just thinking about the logic and structure of an essay, because the logic and structure of an essay needs to be really well written and really well done if you want to have a really good essay to showcase your ideas. But once you have got a good logic, writing it becomes much, much easier. And so once you have your logic, the next step is obviously to write your essay. And when you write, this brings me to point number 5. Number 5, be specific. Be very, very specific. The very best essays that get into the top universities worldwide are those that are highly, highly specific and include key specific details. So, for example, rather than saying that you helped out at a school fair, talk about exactly what it is that you helped out with. So, for example, let's say, did you visit the owner of your local bakery that has been running for the past 50 years and convince them to hold a workshop on how to create a sustainable small business by explaining that this will not only bring greater awareness to their business, but it will also frame them as a more ethically and socially conscious enterprise. See how being specific can really elevate an essay and make it more engaging and personalized to that individual? So remember, when you're writing an essay, I really, really encourage you to look at all your sentences and ask yourself, can I be more specific here? Is this too general? Is this a sentence that can be written in anyone's essay? And by doing this, your essay will improve significantly. Now, another very important thing that students often make the mistake of doing is point number 6, having a generic opening. The first few lines of your essay are the first impression that the admission officers will have of you, And this first impression will influence how they read the rest of your essay and what they think of you. So if your essay opening is the same as over 80% of the thousands of essays that admission officers have to read, you're not going to stand out. And chances are your essay is just going to be tossed aside and left in the rejection pile. And actually, this is quite a complex topic that I do want to go a lot more into, but we'll talk about it in another video. Otherwise, this video will be way too long. What I do encourage you to do, though, is to rethink your opening. So be creative, but also make sure that it's really relevant to you. And please don't just start with, I want to get into this university because I have a passion for blah, blah, blah. This is very generic. So be unique and be you. Point number 7 is also very much related to point number 6, and that is have a strong conclusion. Just like how you have to start off strong, you should also end strong. So finish off your essay on a high note that leaves admission officers feeling uplifted and convinced that you'll be the perfect addition to their university. So there are many, many ways you can do this, such as my favorite circular conclusion, where you write a conclusion that links back to some things that you said in the introduction. But remember, whatever you do, make sure you end on a very powerful note, and not just a generic, I really want to get into this university. And we'll again talk more about conclusions in another video, but let's head on to my last point, and that is number 8, fact-checking. So whatever you write, particularly things that have to do with the university and their programs, please make sure that you fact-check everything that you write against official university websites. Don't just rely on AI or things that you've seen on social media or even word of mouth. Things change all the time, and you have no idea how many essays that I've read where students have talked about programs or initiatives of universities that simply don't even exist or simply don't even apply to them at all. And these little details can actually cost you your place, showing that you don't care enough about the uni to research enough detail about it, or that you have little attention to detail. So please make sure that whatever you write, you use official sources to verify your information. And I know I said that was my last point, but I'll add in one more bonus point. And that is number 9, posting your essays on social media. So I know a lot of students, particularly those who have asked agencies or other people to write the essays for them or edit the essays, like to post their essays on social media to ask for people's opinion on these essays, as they can't tell whether the essays that they've paid for or that they've written is good or bad. And while, of course, this is a very understandable concern, please do not do this. Remember, the internet is accessible to anyone, and once the essay is on the essay, chances are that someone's going to use it, or someone's going to copy your essay or use parts of it. And remember, all essays that get submitted to application office to universities go through a plagiarism checker. And if you've got your essay somewhere out there on the internet, chances are that someone's already used your essay in some shape or form, and that your essay will be marked as plagiarism, which immediately sends you straight to the rejection pile. So please do not post your essay on social media, even if you think that you need help about it or you're not sure about whether your essay is good or not. Rather than posting it out there on social media, go to a trusted source and ask for their opinion. We at Xena International Education will be very happy to help you read through your essay and see if there's any improvements that can be made. And that's it. It's quite a long video today, so thank you for sticking with me all the way to the end. I hope that this was helpful and that you've learned some things from it. If you have any questions or anything that we've discussed in this video, or you'd like some additional help with your university application essays, feel free to send us a message. Or visit us at www.xenainternationaleducation.com/collegeapp.php. See you!